Hello and welcome to Sam Not So Wise. My name is Sam. So last week I gave you a video on sad books, depressing books. I'll pop a link to that in the description as always. But I promised a video about happy books to balance up the mood a little bit. Now I am quite a sad boy at heart. I love dark and depressing material, as I said in that video. So when I sat down to think about this video, there weren't that many, at least not as many as the sad books, but I did promise, so I keep my promises and I'm gonna give you this video on my favorite happy books. I do like the occasional happy book, particularly funny ones, which you'll see in today. A lot of them are humor based, so I will be asking for some recommendations to break up those heavy reads that I do so love. So with much further ado, let's talk about my favorite happy books. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a series, and it is a large series, and it is quite an obvious one, especially if you know me and this channel, and that is the Discworld by Terry Pratchett, Sir Terry Pratchett. I have read all of them but one, all 40 of them, however many there are, and this is just one of my favorite series of all time. Top 5, I think I put it in when I did my first ever video, which was a top 10 series ever. I can't quite remember, but it is close to the top 5, and also one of my favorite authors of all time. So obviously the main attraction in terms of happiness with this series is the humor, and these books are absolutely dripping with humor, British humor in particular. Now, not everybody gets along with this kind of humor, but to those people I say piff! Piff, I say. For me, the brilliance of the humour is not just the fantastic wordplay, which there is a lot of, but how he just kind of pokes fun at the actions of people, both through ordinary day stuff as well as more serious or larger world topics, as it were. It's not just humour, though, that makes these happy books. His characters are vibrant and colourful, really distinct and alive, and you have several groups to fall in love with over the several sub-series that this whole series has. So it is a large series, but it is broken up into sub-series, and each one have their own particular characters who are absolutely brilliant and will make you laugh and make you smile. And through all of this, he tells you fun stories and definitely explores important themes. So it's not just silliness, not just, you know, ridiculous British humour. There is a lot to say, but these books will make you happy, I am sure of it. So next up we have another series, this time a trilogy in 4 parts, and it is very much in a similar vein to that of the Discworld, and that is of course The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Very much humour driven, but again, it's not for everyone, and I say piff if you don't like it. But for those who love it, you're guaranteed a laugh a page at least. This is a very funny book and a very funny series. It's also quite ludicrous. The story is quite an adventure and goes on some fun and some bizarre places. All of this is done with a tongue-in-cheek manner that explores classic sci-fi tropes in a way that makes fun of them, but also respects the genre simultaneously. I felt the series did kind of decrease in quality with every book, but all of them were good. They just went from the sublime to the good, and it's just a really fun and ridiculous series. So I really recommend picking this up if you haven't and you want a good time. This is a bind up of the 4 books in the trilogy. See, that kind of humour, and they're all pretty small, so it's very easy to pick up the first one. So if you're looking for a short good time in between heavy reads, please do pick up The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Next up, and continuing with the topic of humour, we have Andy Weir, in particular Project Hail Mary and The Martian. Now, I haven't read Artemis. Pretty much everyone I've heard talk about it has said it's bad, so I'm not that interested in reading it. I really hope he brings out some more books though in the near future, because these are brilliant and a lot of fun. Both of them have characters that have a certain silliness about them that lend levity to the stories that have large stakes. These are proper sci-fi books that depend on survival. Both of them are survival stories in unlikely and difficult situations. So this is a point of contrast with the other two series that I've talked about already in this video, which are just absurd. I mean, sure, they have stakes and you know, big problems and still explore theme, but there is just a certain absurdness about them, where these are kind of set in reality with scenarios that I guess potentially could happen in some kind of future. So The Martian is very much a story where we are stuck inside the character's head, just one character, as we follow his attempt to escape Mars alive. And Mark Watney is a smart and witty man, and he is the one who really lends this story a sense of fun and silliness, as well as the story just being quite interesting and fun in a way, even though it's like a survival story. Project Hail Mary has another element in it that brings happiness to every reader I know that has read it, but I can't talk about it here without it being a huge spoiler. So if you haven't read this, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you what this element of happiness is, but if you've read it, then you certainly know what I mean. By the way, do not watch the trailer for the upcoming film, because that does just spoil this big spoiler for you. So big warning, do not watch that trailer. Can't wait for that film though. So suffice to say, it was a welcome surprise when this happened and added just a real warmth in the heart. This is just a happy book with great sci-fi concepts. Andy Weir is great, and like I said, I really hope he writes more in the future. Now, the next entry that makes me happy is another series, or just one book, depending on who you ask, and that is The Lord of the Rings, of course. Now, this entry is all to do with nostalgia and the beauty of the world, as well as just a great sense of catharsis within this story by the time you get to the end. This series obviously has darkness written all over it and explores thematic work that has true implications on our world even today, which is kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. And yet it is a story that celebrates the beauty of the world and the people that live in it, of all shapes and all sizes, as well as the importance of friendship. All of this speaks to a reading experience that warms the cockles and makes you want to sit under a blanket with a cup of tea and a biscuit and just, you know, snuggle up and have a lovely, cozy, fun time whilst reading about orcs and death and the destruction of the world. It's a paradox, but you know what I mean. This is of course all portrayed with prose that sets up an ethereal tone and paints a world with vividity that may not yet have been passed and may not ever be passed. It's also a story that I've just consumed so many times. Honestly, I've only read it once, but I've seen the film so many times. But I always come back to it with just a wonderful feeling of warmth and happiness and etherealness and transcendence. And yeah, just this story just makes me really happy. So Lord of the Rings had to be on this list. Next up, I've got another series, and a lot of what I said about Lord of the Rings could be repeated for this series, and that is the Earthsea cycle by Ursula Le Guin. Now, there are dark themes, there are big stakes, but this series really writes with a sense of love for the craft of storytelling. It is written beautifully with a real feeling of respect for the world and the people that live on it. It's a series that kind of transports you through its simple but eloquent prose. You'll fall in love with the very small cast of characters and be left with a sense of wonder. So, like I said, it's very similar to Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. This was written for children back in the day. That also lends a certain sense of whimsy to the stories, but this is definitely a series that can be read by anyone of any age and will just give you those feelings of warmth and happiness whilst telling you a really good story and exploring a lot of great stuff. So I highly recommend Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. Next up, we have The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is the definition of a cozy book. Now, I am not really one to read much cozy stuff. I like some coziness within my stories, but not as the sole focus of it. but this was just a wonderfully sweet tale. This was the first book we read in the book club that I run, and we just did our 26th meeting, so this was quite a long time ago, but it has stuck in my brain. The themes of acceptance of the other are explored through larger-than-life children with a large dollop of silliness. I love me some silliness. And you just can't help but become attached to the children and the couple of adults that are in there as well. And at the heart of the tale is a slow burn romance that you cheer along the whole way, and represents a relationship that just feels real and organic, which I appreciate as well. Older people falling in love with each other slowly in a normal way, not just this like lusty way. So this is one that really does warm the cockles. Like I said, I'm not a big cozy fan, but I really liked this one actually. Now then, I just want to mention a couple of classics very briefly. Now I feel like most classics are generally quite serious, right? Or is that just me? Am I imagining that? I mean, I've heard of, you know, Wodehouse, and I haven't read any of him, or any Stevenson. I guess Alice's Adventures in Wonderland could come into this, which I have read but didn't necessarily love, although I'd love to reread them because it was quite a while ago. So am I missing something? Let me know some fun classics, because I would like to hear about them and see what they're like compared to their normal kind of more dreary cousins in, you know, in the classic genre. But one that I have read is The Wind in the Willows, which is obviously a lot of fun, right? Written for children, and so that gives it kind of a head start in the fun, happy nature of the book. But it is just a wonderfully charming and funny book, and who doesn't love talking animals, right? And the other one I'll say, and just hear me out, okay, it's Huckleberry Finn. I read this year, and I know that this is a book that explores extremely dark topics, one in particular being slavery. So you would think, how can this be a happy book? Well, it's in the title, okay? It's all done through an adventurous tale through the eyes of basically a doofus young boy in Huckleberry Finn. It has a lot of ridiculousness in it, a lot of hilarious dialogue that speed the story along at a wonderful pace. This tone only helps with the culmination of the dark themes, in my opinion, when they come to a head and they just provide a certain increased sucker punch when these themes of slavery are really tackled at the end of the book. So this is a fun read, you know, but it does explore great themes as well, which I think is just a wonderful combination. So I would say that this is a fun book. So that is it for today's video. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching till the end. So I managed to talk about quite a few happy books here, but my go-to is generally sad stuff. So I don't really have much happy reading on my TBR. So you people need to help me with that. Please let me know what books you have read that really made you happy, that I can slip in between those big, heavy, sad, depressing books that I love to read. But that is it. So if you liked the video, please press like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and think about joining my journey here. And I will see you in another video soon. Goodbye.